So do you think cabin life is easy breezy? Think again. Make sure you avoid these 13 costly missteps and cruise like a pro. In this video, we're diving into the essential cabin tips you need to enhance that cruising experience. We'll explore 13 common mistakes many cruisers make, which can easily be avoided with a few expert insights. Stay with us as we guide you towards achieving flawless, worry-free cruise vacations by perfecting those strategies. Do you want to unlock the ultimate insider secrets to cabin comfort that every seasoned cruiser swears by? The last tip alone is going to change how you feel about your cabin, so don't miss it. Number one, picking the wrong cabin location. There are some common things and there are some individual things. Avoid cabins near noisy hotspots. So right on top of the elevators, next door to the nightclubs, things like that. The location of the cabin on the ship relative to like front and back. If you are a relative newcomer to cruising or you get, a little bit of seasickness, stick with midship. Okay. So that's not in the very front, not in the very back, but as close to midship as you can be. You're going to have less motion when you do that. So it's going to be a much smoother ride. Cheryl and I, we like aft cabins, meaning cabins all the way in the back, just because they seem to be farther away, as long as we're not right on top of. Well, hello, Elio. You're going to come and join me today? We like aft cabins, as I said. We want to be farther away from potential noise. We want to be away. And we don't, for the most part, don't have issues with seasickness. So that works for us. Another thing to think about with your cabins. The type of cabin. We talk about this all the time, and most people by now have their preferences. But there's arguably, excluding suites, arguably three types of cabins: balcony, ocean view, and interior. Okay, so if you are the type of person that needs absolute darkness when you sleep, get yourself an interior. You're going to be on the inside of the ship, like from left to right. So there's not going to be any windows. There's not going to be any sunlight whatsoever. It's going to be pitch black. If you want to be able to step out onto a balcony and hear the ocean and smell the ocean and feel like you're the only person on the ocean at that moment, balcony's the way to go. If you want to be somewhere in between, you don't want to spend the money for the balcony, because yes, balconies are more expensive, arguably almost double the cost of an interior. Okay. But if you want some sunlight, but you don't necessarily need to step out on that balcony and have coffee out there every morning or breakfast or whatever, then go to the ocean view. Ocean views have a window, and they're not these little portholes. They're, big full-size windows on most ships. So you get kind of the best of both worlds. Cheryl and I have done all three types. We love the balconies. We prefer the balconies. But honestly, the last year or two or last couple of years, we tend to do a lot of ocean views because with our budget, we can do one or maybe two balcony cruises per year, whereas we can do usually three, sometimes even four window views, ocean views per year, just because of the cost savings. Next tip, don't overpack. I'm going to do a whole separate video on that coming up soon, but you don't need 19 days worth of clothes for a 7-day cruise. And yes, ladies, I'm primarily talking to you, and I'm getting the evil eye from my wife right now. You can't see it because she's behind the camera, but on your average sea day, you need a couple of, maybe 2, maybe 3 changes of clothes. You need your beach wear. You need some casual wear for, if you're going to be doing some gambling or if you're going to, be doing something away from the pool. And then you need something to wear for that night. Bring things that you can piece together. If you have two outfits and you plan it right, you can make a third or even a fourth outfit out of it. There are limited laundry options on board. If you're going on an extended cruise, more than 7 nights, more than 10 nights, sometimes some cruise lines will include laundry options. Do the research, figure that out. Because if they do have laundry included, well, then forget about it. You can bring, 3 days worth of cruise for 2 weeks. Well, maybe an exaggeration, but most 7-day cruises, maybe midweek, you're going to get a note and a shopping, like a grocery shopping size bag. And for $30 to $50, you fill that bag as much as you can. They'll wash it and bring it back to your cabin. There are some options for laundry on the shorter cruises, but it's expensive. So this next one, cabin size. Cabin size matters when you're traveling with more than, one or two people. If you're trying to take your family of 4 and you want to do an interior cabin, okay, can it be done? Sure. Would I do it? Not if your life depended on it. What are they, roughly 130 to maybe 200 square feet? That's not a lot of space. And if you've got 4 people, even if 2 of those people are, I don't know how to say that, half size, smaller, the children, it's a lot of luggage, a lot of stuff for a small space. Now, I'm not saying if you've got, if it's mom and dad, a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old, you don't want to put them in a separate cabin. No, I'm not saying that. Then you do the bunk beds, the quad cabins, and you make the best of it. If my wife and I decided to take our boys on a cruise, I'm 6'3". My 28-year-old 6'4", and my 26-year-old is 6'5". Ain't no way in heck we're getting the 4 of us in a cabin. Okay, so just consider that cabin size, especially if we're talking 3 to 4 full-size adults. Okay, wait until you hear about the surprising cabin feature that could transform that onboard vibe during the nights. Room temperature. Room temperature is a very personal situation. My wife and I like it cold when we sleep, like sub 60 degrees. Okay. We do everything we can, every little trick from, the hotel key card in the slot to keep the AC going, every little thing we can to keep that AC. We keep the window shut unless we're out on the balcony or out on the window, or looking out the window. We want it as cool in that room as possible. Now, if you're on the opposite end of that, and you're cold no matter if it's 80 or 90 degrees, ask your room steward for an extra blanket or 2 or 4. Make sure that you set that temperature as warm as you want it to be. Cruise ship HVAC systems they do the best they can with the amount of rooms and different temperatures as possible. Okay. So make sure, if you have a favorite blanket, bring that if you can. If it's one of these king size, 30-pound, 4-inch thick blankets, you're probably not going to be able to bring that. Power outlets. This is a very, very controversial topic in a lot of ways. So the older the cruise ship, the less power outlets they have in the rooms in general. Okay. The newer the ship, the more options you have. Now, not necessarily going to have 14 plugs in your room, but you're going to have 4 to 8 plugs, and you're going to have 2 to 6 USB plugs. We all have multiple devices to power up, whether it be a CPAP machine, camera, batteries, phone, tablets, laptops, watches. There's 8 billion things that we have to power. Remember, cruises do not allow power strips in general. Okay. If they are surge protected power strips, forget about it. Don't even think about bringing it, because it will get yanked out of your suitcase and you'll never see it again. Now, lately, there's been a trend where they're not even allowing non-surge suppressed power strips. As much as possible, minimize the number of things that need to be powered, need to be recharged, and maximize how and when you charge them. I have a GoPro. I have 4 batteries for my GoPro. When we leave for the day to go on an excursion, to go out, if it's a sea day, whatever, I always make sure that there are 2 batteries charging when I walk out that room. When I come back to get ready for dinner, I pop those batteries out, I put the other 2 batteries in. That way I've always got charged batteries, and I'm only taking up 1 plug. My watch, I only need to charge it every 2 to 3 days. My cell phone, okay, that I charge every single night, but that's the only thing. Plan for the worst, hope for the best. Try to minimize what you bring power requirement-wise, okay? Cabin security. Every room that I've ever been on a cruise has got a safe. They've got a safe in the room. Use it. Now, make sure, you create a new code and that you remember what that code is, but use that for all of your cash. Use it for your passport. Use it for all your travel documents. Use it for your jewelry. Use it for anything that you would be upset if it went missing. I'm not saying that cabin stewards steal. I honestly don't believe that they do, because I have, let's just say, unfortunately, left plenty of valuable things out, and none of them have ever gone missing. But use that safe. Make sure that you're vigilant in taking all the precautions you can, so that your expensive items, and I don't mean just financially expensive, but emotionally expensive items are secure. This one has saved my marriage more than once. Well, that's probably an exaggeration, but believe it or not, in cabin movies, there are times where you just don't want to be around people. No matter how much you love cruising, no matter how exciting things are, sometimes you just need a break. Sensory overload, annoying people on their scooters, whatever the case. The TVs in the cabins, most of them have in-cabin movies that you can watch. Sometimes you have to rent them, sometimes not. But having an hour or two downtime is definitely worth it every now and then. Now, am I recommending you sit in the cabin every minute of every day watching movies? Yeah, no. You can do that at home. Why'd you go on a cruise? But sometimes if it's raining outside, or like I said, if you just need that quiet night, it's worth it. Now, if there are certain shows or certain movies that you or your kids watch repeatedly, bring a gadget with you that can be plugged into the TV. So most of the cruise ship TVs are their flat screen TVs. They've got an HDMI input. Bring something that you can plug into the HDMI outlet on the TV, and then watch your programs instead of just what they have on. Housekeeping mistakes. Every room has a do not disturb sign. Sometimes it's magnets, sometimes it's the door hangers, whatever. Make sure that you use it wisely. If you're in the room and you don't want to be disturbed, put the do not disturb sign out. When you leave that room, make sure you take it back in. The cabin stewards will not come and clean your room. They will not tidy up. They won't enter your room if that sign is out there. Actually, a lot of the cruise lines these days, they have, do not disturb on one side, and they have please clean, please, whatever the wording is. But come on in, service my room kind of thing. Use it wisely. If you don't want them bothering you, just put it out. Just don't leave it out is basically the gist of that. Your towels, the in-room towels. For the most part, if a room steward comes in and they see the towels on the floor, they're going to replace them. If the towels are hanging up to dry, they're not going to replace them. Okay. Cheryl and I do not request new towels every single day. Honestly, we think that's excessive. We have no problem hanging our towels up to dry so that we can, reuse them the next day. We try to be a little bit conscious of the amount of power and water and soap and everything that, 5,000 people a day use. Let's put it that way. Curious about a cabin hack involving housekeeping, another one that could save you not time, but also enhance that onboard relaxation? Coming up. Cabin amenities. This is a big one. Mystery mini bar. Okay, so depending upon the type of room you have, depending upon the cruise line you're with, there will be a stocked mini bar in your cabin and or sealed bottles of water on the desk. If you drink those, you're paying for those. Okay, unless you're in a suite or some, there's something else special going on. Those things will cost you money. The bottles of water, they usually have a sign around the neck saying, please enjoy this bottle of water for $10, $15, $5, whatever it is. There, for the minibar, there will be a notice somewhere in your cabin. Could be on the front of the fridge, could be inside the fridge, could be on top. Make sure you're aware that you're going to pay for every little bottle of Jack Daniels or vodka or soda that you take out of that. Okay? So just be careful. This tip, I'm surprised it's not more well known. If you're in a balcony room and your balcony door is open and you go and you open the front door to your room, guess what happens? It's called the wind tunnel. And the wind tunnel is going to suck all the air in your room out through the balcony. Okay, now it's going to be replaced from the open front door, but it's going to create this wind tunnel, and any loose paperwork, any light clothing, anything that's not heavy or tied down, it's going to go right out that door, right out that balcony door, overboard and gone forever. So as much as possible, don't leave the balcony door propped open. Go in and out, whatever. But if you are going to leave it open for a reason, if you want that fresh air, you want the sound of the wave, or not the waves, but the sound of the ocean, make sure that you do two things. One, put the do not disturb sign on the outside of the door to your room, and lock the door. The purpose of the do not disturb sign is so that the room steward doesn't think you're out for the night and open that door to come in and service your room. The lock on the inside of the door is so that you don't forget that you got the balcony door open and you go to, open that door. If the door's locked, if that extra lock is on there, it's an extra step you have to do to get out. So hopefully it'll remind you to shut the balcony door. And when you leave for the night, if you're going, or for the day, whatever, make sure that balcony door is shut. A lot of us need some sort of noise to sleep at night. I'm one of them. I need a fan going. I need some white noise, the TV, something. If you need noise, you have a couple of options. Bring a little white noise machine with you or an app on your phone. Turn on the TV on a minimal volume or, whatever, or ask the cabin steward if you can get a fan. Now, not everybody gets a fan every time on board the ship because they only have a limited supply. So I would always make sure to bring, a battery operated fan, a USB port operated fan, if you need not only sound but air movement. Now, if you're the absolute opposite of that and you need silence, absolute silence, cruise ships are noisy. Even if you choose your room carefully and you're in the perfect spot, you're still going to hear noises. The ship creak, people walk by, something, a wave slaps against the side of the ship. So bring earplugs, bring noise canceling earphones, something like that, something to make sure that you get that sleep. Arguably one of my favorite cruise cabin, it's not really a hack, but it's kind of a hack, room service. My wife and I, when we get balconies, we order room service almost every single morning. We get a carafe of coffee and we get something to fill our bellies a little bit for breakfast, whether it be a couple of croissants or, a bowl of fruit, something, a little bit of something so that when we get up, we grab our tray of room service, we head out on the balcony, and we sit there and we have a cup of coffee or two, we have a little bit of food, and just enjoy each other's company, enjoy that balcony experience. Yes, room service costs money these days. Most of the cruise lines do not offer free room service anymore. Sometimes, you can get certain things at no cost, just, a tip, things like that, but read the details. Make sure you know if it's free or not. To my wife and I, it's worth the $15 or $20 a day. The value of it is worth it. But to each his own, So now you know enough to avoid these 13 cabin mistakes and navigate the waters like a seasoned cruiser, ensuring your voyage is as smooth as a perfectly planned docking. Now that you know how to avoid those mistakes, don't set sail unprepared again. Check out Surprising Cruising Tips I Wish I Knew Earlier, coming right up.